Let's start. Doug, can you just give us a quick MO of who you are and what you do at Centurion?
Yeah, thanks, John. Welcome, everybody. It's good to be here again in front of you as part of our webinar series on Copilot. So my name is Doug Morrison. I am a client success manager here at Centrion, looking and getting more and more involved with the AI side of things as that kind of takes flight and starts kind of weaving its way throughout clients of ours and businesses. Globally, but obviously with a focus on Australia.
Great. And then we also have Jaeden as well here, who is on the technical side as well. So welcome, Jaeden. Can you
Yeah,
just introduce yourself really briefly?
yeah, thank you. So I'm Jaeden Cook. I'm obviously a project engineer at Centrion. Quite quite good with the automation and AI side of things at the moment, and obviously Copilot is part of that. So
Great. And then Casey, we have here as well as part of the growth and marketing team as well. So Casey's very good at answering your questions. So please, for everyone who's just come in, there's going to be a lot more people coming in the flow of the next minute or so. Again, I just want to repeat, if you have any questions, we have emailed everyone who's registered to attend today with seeking some questions that our team could answer at the end of today's session. So we're going to start very, very soon. But if you haven't done so already, there's her email address again there, and just in the bottom left-hand side of there. Or you're welcome to shove it in the Q&A section at the top as well. So don't be afraid to do that. Now I'll just have to run through a couple of housekeeping things. Um, we're here today because there's our fourth, I think it's our fourth of the AI series. Just showing you Microsoft Copilot and some very common things that you could do to use AI in your everyday work life to make things easier and more efficient for yourself. So that's the context of today. We have a lot of people asking questions about how do I do this and that. So we are trying to answer as many as we can, and we're going to start with the most popular ones. But if there's something specific that we don't cover today, please let us know, or we can always do a personalized video or add it to our next in the series, which will be coming out very shortly. Um, Now, you're all muted and your cameras are off just for privacy reasons, and it's very hard to have everyone talking over each other. We do block the note takers and AI agents that you are sending in. So if that's not working, that's intentional. We do record this as well, just so you know, and sometimes we do publish it publicly and send you all the link afterwards in case you miss anything and you want to go back over that. So don't be too concerned about recording all of this. And again, it's sort of, we want to keep this as interactive as we can. So we're going to show you a couple of things, but then we have lots of time, which is very popular at the end for personalized Q&A. So please ask as many questions as you wish. Now we're going to start pretty soon. So why don't we kick it off right now? I think everyone's coming in right now. There's going to be a couple more people, but let's go, Jaeden. And
yep,
so what is Copilot? I know I've got a family edition on my work computer, and there's two different versions. One's 365 and one isn't. Tell
yeah,
me exactly what is Copilot?
yeah. So during these series, obviously we focus on the M365 Copilot, which is the enterprise slash corporate version of Copilot. I actually like to call it an acceleration tool. Um, as you can, as per that first dot point there, it's designed to work alongside you. And obviously, it's integrated seamlessly across all the Microsoft 365 apps and services. The whole goal is to reduce time spent on repetitive tasks so that you can actually focus on the high value work. And as of right now, yeah, Copilot is basically a tool and an assistant. They are sprinkling in some automation side of things, so that's something that is coming, and we will touch on that very briefly today as well.
Yeah, I just want to add as well, we're talking about Microsoft Copilot today because obviously most businesses have it installed on their computers and it runs their operating system. So that security layer and accessibility sort of comes out of the box. But, personally, all of us, we do use the other brands as well. I use Gemini and OpenAI, and I know you've been experimenting with every platform under the sun as well. So today we're talking about Copilot just because it's the most accessible and easiest to implement
Yeah.
for most companies, but we do specialize in all the other platforms as well.
Yeah, and obviously Copilot is, as we say, it's grounded in all of your organizational data. So it definitely has a leg up over some of those other services. And it's native as well. It's not just a plugin because it is Microsoft. They do have inherent access to that sort of information, which is it's actually useful.
So what are some of the use cases? I mean, this looks really good. I mean, I use the Copilot in email all the time, but just give us a quick sort of broad idea of what it does.
Yeah. So as you know, as you just mentioned, it's great for email drafting, but it does also take the burden off of things like calendar agendas. You can actually catch up on entire email chains or Teams chat threads. You can have it manage your meetings, take your meeting notes. Can even help you prepare for or prepare discussion topics and questions for meetings, so that you're basically ready to go.
That sounds great.
I mean, another one as well, Copilot notebooks. That's something that's kind of flown under the radar. That's kind of popped back up for me. I actually used that as a daily scratch pad. So just a notebook with a dated page in it, and then you can just output dot points in that notebook page, and then actually have Copilot AI turn that into fully fledged like action plans, or you can even attach reference files, PDFs, and things like that, and turn them into audio experiences in the form of a podcast for your commute home as well.
Yeah, so just to explain, I know I use a like lo-fi version of this. I have a piece of paper with my to-do list on the start of every day, and I scribble things that have happened. So this is like a virtual version of that that's personalized to you that then links with everything else. So if you mention, oh, I had a meeting with Casey, for example, it would find out who that is and then do things accordingly. So yeah, really cool feature I think that goes under the radar.
Yeah. And obviously, these are only a very small number of possibilities in a few of Microsoft's products. And Copilot is definitely a powerful tool when you wield it properly. The biggest challenge with Copilot is actually us, because we've spent our entire professional lives utilizing very siloed solutions, like Outlook for emails and calendars, web browsers as the information highway. We've got Teams and OneNote, and that's actually created habits in our day-to-day professional lives, and those habits are surprisingly hard to shake. So the successful adoption of this tool is actually a short-term challenge, which is actually to sit with your daily task and think, how can I use Copilot to take even 2 or 3 minutes of this? And when you multiply that out, those 2 or 3 minutes across each task, across an entire work week, and then you start to see the time savings, the benefits, and obviously the intrinsic value of the tool as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Let's get stuck into it. So this is a quick grounding, and then we're going to show you practical examples. But before we do, just to be clear, I mean, Copilot's part of a large ecosystem, right?
Yep, definitely. So we're talking about a very few set, as I mentioned, very few products here from Microsoft and Copilot, but it is everywhere, and there are pieces of this in the background that you don't inherently see as well that can be leveraged for an organization. So obviously, if you're keen to explore this in more detail, definitely reach out, because we can have a good chat about that.
Perfect. Okay, so let's get stuck into the examples. I'm going to start with the most popular. I know it's a bane of everyone's existence, which is their email inbox. So what can we do here to automate that?
So you'll see here in our example, we can actually summarize an entire email thread there. So we don't have to read through every single email that's come through. But not only that, we can actually convert that into a schedule. So that entire email thread, complete with a grounded agenda, and even a summary of the conversation so far based on that email thread. And now what we'll also show is the drafting process. So we can outline just a concise dot point draft of an email, and we can have Copilot fill out the remaining detail if we want. We can have it rewrite the entire thing. We can make it shorter or longer. We can change the tone, and then we can also opt to replace all of the text that we had in there, or we can even just insert it below. But moving back onto the scheduling side of things, so if we say we want to get ready for a meeting, we can actually open that up in our calendar there. And we can utilize Copilot to prepare insights. And now this is generated based on emails that it can find related to this calendar event. And also we can use Copilot to better prepare for it. So get it to ask or outline some questions that we can ask during the meeting and that sort of thing. And then if you're an attendee, you also get this functionality as well. So you'll have slightly different pre-filled options there from Copilot, but that will also help you prepare for that meeting. So you can be an organizer or an attendee.
Great. So that's like that prevents that whole what is this meeting about? Like who's attending? What are we doing? And then you can psych yourself up before you get it. Because I know I have so many meetings that sometimes you only get a minute or two to prepare before the meeting. So this is a really good way of like compressing that and getting on page before it starts, I suppose.
Definitely. And then we also wanted to throw in, obviously, an honourable mention to facilitator. This is one that we bring up in all of our
This is my favorite.
demonstrations.
I think Doug, this is your favorite too, right?
Yeah, this is by far the coolest feature of Copilot so far.
Okay, the best way I can explain this, Jaden, before you go into details, is like it's kind of like having your own meeting like assistant, basically, who
Yeah.
runs the agenda, does everything for you, like real human, but it does it really well.
Yeah, it does it very, very well. So activating facilitator in Teams meetings actually allows internal meeting participants to interact with it. So we're calling Copilot using the Copilot button, creates a private space for you. The facilitator is actually collaborative. So if present, it'll actually track a meeting agenda and let everyone know when it's off track or when it's reached halfway. Facilitator will also take meeting notes, as we're seeing there, and action items live while the meeting is running in the notes panel. And then while you can also actually find these, in the recap button afterwards. So either in the Teams event itself or in the Teams meeting or in your calendar. So you can reopen that calendar event and just click the recap option in there.
Yeah, which is great because I miss a lot of meetings as well, but I actually want to know what's been said. So instead of having to ask like 2 or 3 colleagues, it's like bang, you press a button, get a recap. It's such a good feature.
And I actually save these as well to what's something called Microsoft Loop. So these notes and these action items aren't gone once the meeting is finished. There's still an actual collaborative piece that you can continue on with after the fact.
Yeah, and then you
one
can push it
extra-
into your task management, sort of project management tools as well after that, can't you?
Yep.
An extra kind of facet of this feature that's been kind of on the cards for a while and it's coming good now is that document templating as well. So if you're talking in the meeting about, Joe Bloggs has to go ahead and start drawing up a template document for, for a new project that you're spinning up, Copilot and Facilitator rather will start the base of that template, that Word document for you, so that when it spits out its wrap up at the end of the meeting, it's that templated document sitting there ready for you to dive right in with context, that was shared during the meeting as well. So some really cool things happening here.
Yeah, I've used that before. That's great. Okay. Yeah. So, well, one of my favorite. I mean, the facilitator is an agent, correct, or is it a feature of Copilot? Or how
It's
would you
technically
describe
an
it?
agent. It's not necessarily referred to as an agent so much anymore. It is just kind of a feature that is built in once you've got a Copilot license, and that's worth mentioning as well. That anyone in the meeting does require, so at least one person does require a Copilot license to utilize Facilitator.
Right. Great. Okay. So, what else we got in store? That's a really good one. I'm sure both of those will save a lot of people a lot of their admin time during the day in office jobs. But what else can we do?
Yeah. So now we're going to have a look at Excel. So this has actually moved along in its development since we last spoke about it with the Excel agent mode. That is slowly becoming just the default Copilot in Excel option. And what you'll see in our example here, we're going to ask Copilot to analyze the data and provide some insights, which is typically how we would interact with it. And the output is typically what we would see. In the example we've got here, it'll actually identify an issue with the data, and it creates another sheet at the bottom of our Excel data to clean it up before it actually provides us with an answer. So it's active problem solving to ensure the result is accurate. And now we're actually instructing it to create a chart to show the sales over time, as well as check for any relationship between seasons and sales. And as you can see, or as you're about to see, it is just a piece of cake with this new feature. And it's not a static image either. So this chart, you can actually utilize the Copilot chat window to change the colors and make any other sort of modifications, even to the spreadsheet itself. If you want to create a title row in your table, for instance, you can just ask Copilot to do that.
Yeah, so this is a recent thing, Jaden, because I know they've been experimenting with this, and I think they said the release date was going to be November, and it keeps getting pushed back. So is this kind of rolled out now with everyone who has Excel, or
It is finally rolling out. So the original full release was supposed to be November last year, and that just kept getting delayed a little bit. It is now fully active in Excel on the web, and that is also slowly filtering down to the full desktop mode for Excel as well.
Okay, so relatively new then, because I know
Yeah.
all the finance people and myself included, analysts have been waiting for this. So we don't have to worry about remembering formulas and things like that and manually editing. It's so good now. I'm using this all the time.
Yeah, it's very useful. It's something that we're hearing much more chatter about as well in our space, that's for sure.
Yeah, great. Okay, awesome. Well, that's good for Excel users. Copilot Search. Now, this is something I didn't know actually existed until today when we were
Yeah.
talking about this earlier this morning. So run us through. What's this?
So this is actually one of my favorites. It's a button that's located, it's either above or below the chat button in M365 Copilot. Sometimes it changes. But it's actually used for discovering information across your organization. So you'll see here, we're going to ask it what the outcome was of a recent project planning meeting, which is a demo meeting that we did hold in Teams. It'll actually be able to search all of Microsoft's platform like SharePoint, Teams, Outlook, and things like that, including meeting transcripts. So it can give us a result of a meeting without us having to dig through the transcript or even find the original calendar event for the meeting. And then we can obviously filter that as well. So it is between date modified, the type of data that it's finding, and the people as well.
This is so good. Just for
Yeah.
context, this happened this morning. I know Casey, she was relabeling and reorganizing some of the SharePoint folders that we had to put some of the marketing assets in, and it was breaking some of the links with Premiere. Doesn't matter. Long story. We were organizing things, and then I was like, "Where is that document again?" Because everything had changed, and then this just makes it so easy to find that document, and you don't have to search for the title of the file. It will actually search the contents of the file
Yep.
and figure out which one is most likely the one that you're looking for. Correct?
Yeah, definitely. So it will obviously search through the contents as well as the metadata. And it also provides, as you would have seen there, a little bit of a summary as well. So it's not just giving you the results, it's actually trying to summarize what it found for you, and also the considerations around that.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver. So these are, again, very sort of basic use cases. We do way more advanced things, but I think these fly under the radar because we're presenting them because they just save us so much time, and most people are using these kind of
Yeah.
use cases.
I
So
mean, exactly. Again, we don't have to go through, 4 different Microsoft applications and run an independent search across each one of those. We can just do that here in Copilot. You don't have to be looking for meeting discussions or anything like that. It can be a file. Maybe you can't remember if it was in SharePoint or sent in Teams or sent as an email attachment. It doesn't matter because Copilot will be able to find it and even just summarize it for you.
yeah, that's great. Oh, wow. Okay, huge time saver. Okay, what's next in our bag of tricks?
So next up, we want to have a look at the researcher agent. So agents are a pretty big subject to discuss, but we'll have a look at the ones that are kind of inbuilt with Microsoft Copilot today. And the two big ones are obviously the researcher and the analyst agent. And what we'll do is, so you'll see here, I've given it a spreadsheet of the World Economic Forum global risks report that they do, and I'm asking it to basically contrast the top risks that have been identified for a 2-year horizon versus a 10-year horizon. So these agents are very big. You can load very large, complex data sets into them. It'll ask any follow-up questions. As you can see here, it's asked if I want it to be a short or a long report that it outputs. And then it will ask other questions as well, which again, so I've answered those there. You can see here in the little scroll menu in the middle of the screen, you can watch its reasoning and its output as it asks itself questions, verifies information. All of this can be grounded against web searching and organizational data as well. So if you've uploaded an external report and you need it to contrast certain details of that against your own organizational reports or data, you can actually do that.
Yeah, I use this for industry reports as well. So, we get emailed certain white papers and things like that. And it's just a really good thing to use to, yeah, ask very complex questions and get the information you want without having to read the whole document.
It's really great. So, its output is typically comprehensive long form reports, yeah, with formal headings and data tables, inline citations. So it's ideal for high stakes tasks where you need to kind of show your work, like executive briefings and things like that.
That's great. Okay. I think everyone's probably thinking of things we'd use that for right now. And the other agent you mentioned was analysts. So I
Yeah.
know Claude just released 4.6 Opus, where their financial analyst is causing a bit of a stir in the industry, but this has been around for a little while in Copilot.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, this one is great on its own, but I actually prefer to recommend this as a supporting tool for the researcher as well because it has a different, obviously, perspective in how it breaks down your document. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. It can be a PDF or a Word document or a report that you use in the analyst. So if we have a look at this, its interface is very similar to that of the researcher, but instead it obviously acts as a data scientist. I'm giving it two different reports here. So I'm giving it an NVIDIA 2024 report as well as that the World Economic Forum report. And I want it to basically outline the risk factors identified between the two. So I'm actually doing a comparison and a contrast between the two reports here that I no longer have to read through the two full documents to be able to do. Again, so this would be a great supporting tool for any of the researcher kind of output.
Yeah, that's really good. And just thanks for speaking so much today, Jaeden. But for everyone else on the call, Jaden's feeling a bit unwell, which is why he's a bit husky. So thanks for soldiering through. I really appreciate it. But if in case his voice is a bit croaky, that's why. So thanks for doing that, Jaeden.
So next up on the list is actually a relatively new one, and we call this the workflows agent. Now, it is a frontier agent. So frontier basically means it's still kind of in development. It's not perfect. There are issues with its output limitations and such, but it gives you a really good idea on where things are going, and it can kind of help you plan out where you want to take it once it does eventually arrive in full release, and it also lets you experiment with it as well. So what we're going to do here is ask it to essentially create a trigger and an action every morning. It's going to read through the inbox from the last 24 hours, identify anything important that may have been missed, messages that are high priority, time sensitive, and it's going to send the result in Teams message. Now, this is the most common example that you will see. So Workflows is actually built for doing, acting as a lightweight conversational automation engine. We'll see.
So this is like is this like having an EA almost, like give you a briefing, sort of, well, in this case anyway, giving a briefing every morning, summary, as you get to your desk. Is that kind of what this is?
Pretty much, yeah. It's there and sort of ready to go. You don't have to go digging through the previous day's unread emails, as in this example anyway. As soon as you hit enter on that prompt, it'll start building. So what you're seeing there on the right-hand side is actually the automation or the flow and a description of what it will do. So you can still utilize the chat window on the left-hand side to further refine that. But once you've got it to where you need it, you can hit that save button. And there's also a test function there as well. So in this instance, it's going to send a Teams message with the test run results, and we'll see that pop up in a moment as well. So you can actually see it there working.
Just from my understanding, Jaeden, like there's workflow builders, kind of like NA to N is one brand that you can use any AI model with. Zapier have one as well, and a few other systems where you kind of have to build this from scratch. You're like, hey, I wanted to search this, and then you connect a line for it to do something else, and so on and so forth. So this is a way of like pre-building that via a prompt instead of having to do it manually, correct?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. So where Jaeden integrates with that, they have no, so obviously none of their own services. It's a complete third-party integrator. This is utilizing all of the Microsoft side of things. So yeah, another good use would be to say summarize all of your calendar events for the day, for the current day, and send them through in a Teams message in the morning, just so that you're ready to go. You don't have to go digging through your calendar and everything. It'll summarize each one of those events. Yeah, and you can see there the 801 example. So that's a Teams message that has come through. Obviously, in the demo environment, we didn't have the unread emails from the last 24 hours, but you can see there the output that you would get, and that would pop up as a Teams message each morning.
Yeah, so we've recorded these videos in what we call a sandbox or demo environment that we set up to kind of do these videos and demo these things to you, but nothing suffices for like an actual real working environment. We just can't show you that because it's all sensitive. So
definitely. But I'm going to hand it back over to Doug. So they're basically the key features right now that I would say they're the most useful aspects of Copilot in the workplace. Obviously, there's a lot more that we could go into with Teams and Outlook and even PowerPoint. But yeah, like I said, if you want to discuss those more in depth, then definitely reach out to us, because there's a lot that we can go over there.
And just before we go to Doug, just want to iterate, we've farmed these from previous webinars when we've asked, what questions can we answer, and including live events that we host around Australia. So I know we've got a couple of questions in there that we'll get to at the end, but yeah, these are kind of like popular demand, aren't they? Okay, so over to you, Doug. Give us some more context about what's happening. So Doug specializes in sort of data governance. You were, and now you're getting even heavily involved in AI. So just run us through some things that are happening in your world.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, Jaeden, for running us through that. Appreciate there's a lot of content to get through in 20 odd minutes. So well done to you and your voice for holding out. So a couple things I wanted to just touch on. The most notable is on screen just now. This kind of offering of the Anthropic models within Copilot. So Microsoft are now offering users a choice of the underlying model that's used to process your prompt. So the reason for doing that is that different models can often offer advantages in different use cases. So Claude is highlighted in this example. And that's kind of advantageous when looking to work on legal or compliance related documents due to its tendency to be a little bit more formal than other models and less prone to people pleasing, which is a common problem that we see with hallucinations and stuff like that. On contrast, the GPT, which is the default model used by Microsoft Copilot, tends to be kind of excelling in more generative tasks. Think your emails, your presentations, the things that Jaeden's kind of been demoing for us this afternoon. So it raises an interesting point because up until now, one of the major kind of selling points for Microsoft with their Copilot product has been that kind of ring fencing, that security that is offered, the kind of enterprise data protection model that surrounds a Microsoft tenancy in your data, protecting your prompts and your sensitive information that you're feeding into that. And that's brought under question when we're looking at replacing that underlying GPT model that is housed within your Microsoft environment and instead kind of farming that off to a third-party tool, albeit there may be advantages to doing so, like we just highlighted just there. So Microsoft try to address this concern, and they do that by extending their enterprise data protection to those third parties, promising that these third parties won't be using your data, your prompts, and the likes to train their models. They won't be retaining your information and things like that. But it's definitely something that we want to tread carefully with. It is something that is being rolled out as of January this year. They started to turn that on by default across tenancies globally. So if it's not available at the moment within your Microsoft environment, you can expect that will be landing soon, unless your IT department have disabled that kind of explicitly, as shown in that screenshot.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So basically, we can use Claude instead of having to sign up to Claude and use it on the web-based or app. We can use it now optionally if we agree to it through Copilot.
Yeah, exactly. So where you may have to pay for subscriptions to other third-party kind of GPU generative text engines models, we're now natively able to use that in Microsoft. So you are afforded if you do have a use case. As I said, there are use cases for third-party processing models. We are offered some extension of security through the Microsoft agreement, but we just need to be careful. We need to know our use cases. We need to know our kind of terms, our workflows for using those tools.
That's great.
We
Okay.
skip along
Good
to
to
that
know.
next slide, Jaeden, please. Thank you. So security is and always will be a focal point for us, especially as working in the IT industry, something that we find ourselves talking the most about, and really for good reason. So these stats that we see, lots of numbers, lots of text on the screen, basically taken from 3 industry surveys that were conducted across the last 12 months or so, really highlighting the requirements, something that we've known from the start, that data governance and security is that focal point before we start dealing with that AI question within the workplace. Look, AI it's no longer that fringe benefit that we thought it was 2 years ago. It's not a fanciful gimmick. We're not just getting it to impersonate pirates and stuff like that. As much fun as that is, there are real use case out there. It's having massive impact in the businesses, kind of in industries around the world. And it's imperative that we address concerns like data leakage and non-compliance, because they're real concerns. There's real kind of case studies showing why or what happens when you ignore the elephant in the room. That we want to just kind of avoid those at all costs. And then once that journey starts, once you start using and implementing AI across our workflows, we want to be sure that we're not weakening our control with the things like agent sprawl, which is where we see users spinning up a lot of different agents, sharing them, and we just kind of lose control of that kind of ecosphere. So yeah, we just want to be mindful of items like that. We could
That's
just
really good,
skip to
Doug.
that next
And
slide.
just before we go to the
Oh,
next slide, for context, Centrion, we have a lot of legal clients and medical industry clients, heavily regulated industry. So our security protocols and awareness of all these things has to be like top notch because the risks are so high to our clients that we
that's
need to
it.
be over this. So I suppose it's good learning from the hardest use cases, but yeah, that allows us to sort of give better advice, I think, for every other business too.
Yeah, yeah. And the final kind of piece of security that I wanted to touch on this afternoon was shadow AI. So it's a term that's expanded from another kind of IT terminology of shadow IT. It's a buzzword really referencing the unfettered access to AI tool sets. So it's usually born through a lack of formal policy or follow through of a formal policy. Happens when our team members are given the freedom to bring your own AI tool or our ability to manage, to vet those applications and protect our data from leakage or protect us from vulnerable applications that we may have otherwise deemed unfit for use. That all kind of our grasp of that lessens dramatically. And as you see, this is just a sample from a Microsoft environment of kind of general GPT usage or AI tools, I should say. And we see that sliding scale 10 being most trusted, 1 being very much the opposite. So in a managed environment, we're still seeing some users going out there and touching on applications that we would definitely not want them to be feeding sensitive information into. And so this is what happens, but we're not kind of acting upon those policies that we may have written, spent time and probably funds kind of putting into place. We need to actually be implementing controls to safeguard our environments a little bit better. Actually, it backs up. There's a Microsoft have a term they like to throw around at the moment called the frontier firm, looking at the firm that is kind of forward focused, looking towards AI ingestion into the workforce. And a comment made most recently within that forum was if our team members aren't complaining about the restrictions that we've levied across AI tools, then we're probably just not going hard enough. We're not doing enough, which is kind of contrary to what we might have said in the past, where we want to tread that line between security and functionality steadily. But I think it just highlights that real risk AI can bring into our workplace. And no, we really want to be quite intentional about our efforts to secure it. If you could just move us on to that next one, thank you.
Okay, thanks
So
for Doug. So if you didn't gather already, Doug is very heavily into data governance and cybersecurity risks, and has very good experience implementing those programs for businesses. So yeah, look, that brings us to what do we do in AI? We've got 5 main offerings. The top left, AI readiness assessment, it's more of a very initial alignment piece and discovering exactly what you need AI for in your business. It's a very short sort of half-day workshop there. That then sometimes leads into us appearing as your fractional AI officer. So that person that sort of drives projects and you can lean on for advice. We do that for a lot of medium-sized firms who sometimes find it hard to find talent or can't afford to pay a full-time AI expert to implement in their firm. And you can see here down the left-hand video, we implemented the Quick Start program, which is in the bottom right there, which is a full-on implementation process for about 3 months, where we do the whole shebang, and then sometimes are retained to be the AI officer at the end as well. And then we are also doing some training. So this is a quick sample of some of the things that literally, Jaeden, you went over with a client last week when we did an in-house training for a team of quite a few people. They're in 3 different cities, so it was a bit of a blended hybrid delivery. And we just went through some of these use cases, but other things specific to that industry and that firm as well. And that went really well. So we're doing more of that as well. So that's our kind of a quick overview. There's a QR code there. Otherwise, you can go to our website and just go to services, AI and automation, and you can find this more detail about these offerings. And yeah, just moving on, that brings us to the next thing. I'm going to just quickly go before we go to Q&A. Oh, yeah, it is Q&A right now. What questions do we have, Casey? Do we have a couple to talk about right now?
Yes, there's
Right, okay.
these two.
Okay, so let's start with these two on the slide. This is one question from a person that wants to remain anonymous. I'm mainly interested in small business related applications and use. What admin planning tasks can be automated using Copilot, and how do I set up workflows? So Jaeden, what would your response be to that?
I mean, it's a fairly broad question. I would say the workflows is obviously a frontier agent. So it's something that I believe is usually there by default unless it's switched off by an IT admin. So you can immediately jump in and go and have a play around with that. It's located in the all agents section of M365. As for the admin and planning tasks, it really comes down to what those need to be. Workflows itself, it does support most of the Microsoft 365 SaaS offerings at the moment. So you know, your Outlook and your Teams and things like that. But there are some limitations. So at the moment, it can't write things to your calendar, for instance, and it can't apply labels to emails and that sort of thing. So in that case, it would be a matter of just having a play around with workflows and just kind of seeing what it can do for you right now, and then planning forward sort of a wish list as it gets released so that you can have a play around with those new features.
Great. Okay. Well, and hopefully some of the other examples we showed you would maybe cover those other admin planning tasks that you're mentioning as well. We have another question here from Hemant. Hope I got that name pronunciation right. The search feature that we were demoing before, it automatically searches across Teams, Outlook, Business, OneDrive, SharePoint without having to specify where to do the search ? So
Yeah.
you don't need to specify which of those things it's searching. It does a global search, correct?
So what you would do is kick off the search. It just does obviously search across all of those platforms, but then you can actually refine it. So if you do only want to search Outlook, you can select that in the little filter that pops up, and it will go and make those changes.
We have another question from Jesse around Workflow Agent that we mentioned before. Does Workflow Agent integrate with To-Do or the To-Do application?
So not natively at the moment. So it integrates more closely with Microsoft Planner, which I believe is kind of similar, but a bigger product. If you have workflows create the planner tasks and assign them to you, I believe they will actually show up in the To-Do app. They just won't be in To-Do itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
to do and planner are very much one and the same. If you create tasks in To Do, you'll see them in tasks assigned to me in the Planner app. And probably the push eventually from Microsoft will be to move away totally from To Do into Planner, which is much more kind of future proofed. If you get a Planner a license for the kind of next level up from the free version, you can actually get a lot of Copilot kind of integrations in there. You get the project manager agent, which offers some really powerful AI tools into the application, which is really awesome.
Okay, great. Just want to check. We had one more question in the chat from Rachel. Casey, has that been answered or?
No.
Okay, so I'm here on behalf of a few pretty small users. So I think like smaller sort of business users. What's the minimum size of users for MSP, etc.?
I think that's maybe a me question. I think that's
Okay.
that's probably worth taking up offline. We do tend to work with 5 and above, but happy to kind of talk through it. It'll depend on what services you're looking at and that type of thing as well. But happy to have that conversation, Raphael, offline.
Okay, great. And again, I'll probably just show you where you can go to our website and you can book a meeting with Chris, who you can talk to first, and then Chris will go through some of those questions and then put you on to Doug and maybe some of the other team to ask more specific questions around some of the things we do. So yeah, don't be afraid. Any more questions that we have here, or I'm just looking at another one. Okay, so there's a lot of people are emailing you. Oh, here we go from Russell. Okay, some of the key leaders in our business use ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, it's very common. Is there a way of migrating chat history to Copilot within the 365 environment so they can still reference that chat history when using Copilot? Yeah, so can we migrate basically all the conversations we had in ChatGPT over to Copilot in one big swoop? I think is the question.
Look, it's not impossible. There's no pretty way of doing it. I would actually say that ChatGPT, it would be worth there would be an option to export the chats that you've got there and kind of add them into like a Copilot notebook, for instance, so that you can obviously still bring those up. They won't be chat references per se. They'll just essentially be a document that Copilot can look to retrieve information, which is, I suppose, that's kind of what you're looking for there. They won't be like a previous chat history in Copilot. They'll just be a document full of exported chats. And you could upload that. Each person could upload their own and have it isolated in their own little Copilot instance.
I'm just checking if we're getting more questions by email with Casey just while we're here, but nothing else is coming through. So unless there's any other questions, but yeah, if you do have other questions that you don't maybe want publicly answered, please again email Casey there, and we can have a personal conversation and answer you specifically. We also have some other content. So I think in the next slide, Jaeden. Just quickly, looking for your feedback. So please, if you have your phone right now, can you get the QR section and scan this? If you enjoyed today's session, we really want to hear about it. This links to our Google review page that we're trying to get a couple more reviews on. Oh, okay, we've got one more question. So just while I got that, give me 1 second. New question here. Do you have any tips for when people have concerns about AI? For example, the fear of being watched in meetings, etc., that prevents us from using AI. So it's that sort of privacy concern that maybe forms a barrier for adoption. Doug, you've done a lot of work with sort of cultural and training on your side. How would you handle that one?
Yeah, Angela, that's a really common question that comes up, and it really just comes through education and talking about what we're hoping to achieve as a business, being kind of explicit in our formation of that AI framework within the business, and then selling that from executive levels down. In terms of AI, fear of a tool being used to spy on you or something in a meeting, I think that's really going to come down to the tool that you're using. You just like any tool, you want to be using an email client that's not copying your emails, for example. So we just need to be conscious of that decision-making process. Like I said before, when we were looking at that shadow AI kind of map, that applies to shadow IT as well, where we're picking the right application for use. So Copilot we can trust as a kind of an approved Microsoft application, is pretty safe to use, and isn't going to be used for nefarious things, and that kind of extends, I guess, into the point that Copilot only has access to what you as a user has access to. So outside of a meeting space, if you work for finance, you only have access to the finance stuff on your SharePoint, for example. Copilot's not going to be able to return information from a SharePoint location that you don't have access to, that you wouldn't be able to visit as a user. So it usually just comes down to education, getting that's where we run these AI readiness assessments and these Copilot engagements with teams, just to kind of set the scene, help you understand the limitations of the product and the risks that you should be aware of as well.
Yeah, I'll just add to that as well. When we do these programs, there is a large cultural piece. It's a process of implementation. So we work with the senior director, or generally the directives come from CEOs a lot of the time these days, which then get appointed sometimes to a director level. And it's about having that open policy, bringing along people for the ride within an organization when you do this program implementation. And that will allay a lot of the fears with some of the staff that are working for the organization. And then we use champions as well to sort of form a team of people who then take that back to their other employees in their team as well. So it's a distributed process. And if you do it like that and have a proper policy in place and very explicit about what AI is doing, what it's not doing, then I think that trust is there, and then people become less fearful about adopting and using AI in the organization. So yeah, it's a very important piece that we cover in that data governance policy and Copilot Quick Start. So very good questions. I like these ones. These are some different ones we haven't had before. So we had like 38 questions, I think, at one live event that we had to make a whole YouTube video of. So if you go to our YouTube channel, in fact, that's a good segue, Jaeden, on the next slide. If this is, we have these events quite regularly, so please follow us on LinkedIn. That's probably how most of you found out about this webinar, but we do physical events as well around the country. We've got one in Sydney next month, and probably another one in Brisbane very shortly. And the YouTube videos that we're talking about, which are racking up hundreds of thousands of views, just go and search on YouTube for Centurion, and you should find that one there. And we have a big Q&A section that came from that we had to refilm actually after a live event because we didn't have time to answer all the questions. So those are some really good resources that you can tap into. So please follow us on those and join a couple of thousand other people. And again, check your email inbox, please, because some of these emails have probably gone into your junk folder because we're emailing you for the first time. But we do a monthly newsletter that you might get in your inbox, alerting you to the next event. We try to keep some core themes in this webinar series, but we do update things, and the environment is changing so quickly that we have to keep redoing the slides, right? Like every couple of weeks anyway, because there's so many changes. So never a dull moment, and you'll always learn something new, even if we go over some familiar territory, right?
That's it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then I think at the next slide, yes. So Chris is saying he's coming to the Sydney Lunch and Learn event. Oh, okay. Brings me to this one. We are hosting a Sydney event. So anyone who's in Sydney, we have a guest speaker. So Doug and Jaeden are there, obviously. I'll be there, and a couple other Centurion key personnel will be there. And we've got a speaker, Andrea Foote. So again, we do a lot of work with law firms, mid-sized law firms around the country. She does a lot of consulting with them, but also medical firms as well. So we'll be sort of covering two of those very high security, high risk with personal information style firms around AI. And we'll be demoing some similar things here, but also a chance to have some food on the house and some drinks and mingle with peers and do a bit of networking at the same time. So those are some details there. It is invite only, but if you are interested in that, please email that marketing@centurion.com.au, or even Casey, kcr@centurion.com.au, or just inquire on our website about that event. It is on March 10th in around Martin Place, 11:30 a.m. start to about 1 or 2 p.m. If you don't want to go back to the office, you can hang around and network, but it's going to be a very good event if you wanted to attend. So please get in contact there. And anything else to finish? I think that's pretty much a wrap. We try to keep these to time. So yeah, again, any more questions, please email us and we can get back to you directly. So without further ado, thank you for joining, everyone. I hope that was informative and you had something to take away. And yeah, watch out for the next email in your box for our next event. And thanks again for your great questions. Anything from you, Doug?
No, thanks
Jaeden?
for joining, everybody, and yeah, we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll wrap it up there. See you guys.